2, 3, 4.
Top of the morning to you, and welcome to the second inaugural episode of the Good Morning Guys podcast and our second official day on the job. I'm one of your hosts, the devout Pixar prophet, Lucas Ham. Also with me are the fingernail clipping fanatic and that favorite dog that you look forward to seeing every single day, Patrick.
Good morning.
The sand volleyball savant, Ronnie.
Good morning.
And last but certainly not least, our very own Yankee Doodle dandy, Marc.
Bonjour.
Thanks for joining us, guys, on this fine day, and thanks for joining us, listeners, as we chat all about all things games, sports, video games, and even life itself, the greatest and most difficult game of all. If this is your first time joining us, please make sure to check out our very first podcast from a week ago, where we introduced ourselves, talked a little bit about our lives, and why in the world we're even doing this podcast to begin with, when there are already, as Marc would so elegantly put it, a metric crap ton of them already. So, with that being said, let's start out by gathering around the water cooler and give some updates on our past weeks, the highs, the lows, and noteworthy. So, Ronnie, want to start us out?
Yeah, I would love to. First, I would like to give credit to my Cincinnati Bengals, who are 2-0 and seem to be the real deal. Now, this is going to be a week-to-week thing. This is going to be a week-to-week thing, so I'm going to live it up while I still can for sure. Week at work, a lot better than the previous weeks. Obviously, I played a lot of volleyball. I won a sand volleyball tournament, which was pretty sweet.
Ooh, congrats, man.
Yeah, we won a fancy T-shirt.
Nice.
Other than that, I worked out a couple times. I am extremely sore, so that's been pretty rough today. I'm living on that.
You worked out a couple more times than I did, so good job.
Yeah, actually, my Monday consisted of working 8 to 5, working out from 5:30 to 6:30, and then playing volleyball from 7 to 11. So I've pretty much been living on ibuprofen all day today.
Gosh. I need to go take some ibuprofen right now. Just talking about that.
Just have a straight IV of ibuprofen at my desk.
It's the Good Morning Guys, brought to you by Advil.
But that is about all for me. I'll let Patrick take it over from here.
So this past week has been crazy. We've had a lot of late nights working. I mean, I'm pretty much working 12-hour days, not necessarily at work. But I have so many emails that I have to go through. I am constantly in and out of meetings throughout the day, trying to figure out what we need to do, how to game plan. I mean, there's so many things that are going on. So when I am working, it's usually from home. I'm checking emails, I'm responding to emails, inquiries from clients and agents and things like that. So there's a lot of late nights of working. Yeah. But other than that, I mean, last Thursday, like Ronnie said, watched the Bengals. My dad came over. Like I said last week, my dad comes over on Sundays, but he came over on this Thursday. So when they were playing, and now they're 2-0, so that's pretty sweet. Yes. So and then Friday night, my buddy Chris came over. And first of all, I want to shout out Chris because he is the one who put together our logo for the Good Morning Guys. He put it together some time ago, so big shout out to him for putting that together.
Chris is the man.
Yeah,
no
right.
Doubt.
He is a graphic designer. That's his job. So when he put it together, I mean he put it together pretty well.
Yeah, he did.
He designed my tattoos. So he's got a lot of artistic nature. So he came over on Friday night. We get together almost every Friday night. Sometimes we play games. Sometimes we go out. But this Friday he came over to play some Madden, played a few games of Madden. And then after Madden, usually we get on Lem's channel, Bad Gamer Elite, and we play some Jackbox for the rest of the night.
Nice.
So,
lucky bum.
Yeah, so that I look forward to Friday nights because it's pretty much gaming. We don't usually play any single player games. It's more of a couch co-op thing. So we play Madden, Jackbox, and beat 'em up kind of games where we both can play on the couch. So that was my Friday night. And then over the weekend, my sister, her anniversary was over the weekend. So we took their two kids. Their two kids are, they're both under 2. So we have my kids, 8 and 4, and then their 2 kids, 2 and then 5 months. So I don't know how many kids you have, but we were outnumbered. And,
yeah, you were.
Well,
did you get your rabies shots before getting with these kids?
Right? Well, when we were outnumbered, when I say that, I mean my wife was outnumbered. I mean, she takes care of almost everything. She takes care of the diapers, the naps, the feedings. I mean, does everything all the good moms do. So I got to give her most of the credit on that one. Nice. But we watched them for about 5 hours while they were out. They were downtown. They went to multiple restaurants and things like that. So yeah, we were watching their kids. So that was kind of crazy having all 4 of them in the house. Sunday mornings, it's my favorite part of the week. One of my favorite parts of the week is because I was leading worship at church for both of our services. What? And yeah, man, yeah.
Really? Look at you.
So I'm a jack of all trades at church. I volunteer in the nursery. I volunteer with our electronic check-in. I'm at the hub, which is like an informational center, and then I also sing on Sundays. I sing probably every 5 or 6 weeks. You get up there, get up with the worship team, and sing a few songs. So, and that's my favorite part of the week because I feel the closest to God when I am singing. So that's my favorite part. And then
that's awesome.
Right, very cool.
And then in the afternoon, when the kids went down for their rest time and naps, I watched Deadpool 2. I don't know if you guys seen that, but oh my gosh, that was hilarious. Right. And then the kids woke up, did our normal family thing, and then after the kids went to bed, we watched the movie Tag. I don't know if you've ever heard of the movie Tag, but that's about a group of guys who have played tag for over 25 years.
Based on a true
I saw
story.
the previews for that.
So they get together. They don't play tag all year round. They play tag 1 month a year. I think it's in February, and they get together. And in the movie it was based on a true story, but it wasn't the actual events. They made it funny. So if you haven't had a chance, go check that out. That's a pretty good one. And then that's pretty much it for me.
Mark, how about you, buddy?
Well, obviously I am still here, so Hurricane Florence did not affect us as much as we thought it might. It pretty much actually did a juke move. It went to the left, and then it went to the right, and then it was like, I don't even know. It couldn't even make up its mind where it was going. Well, we in Virginia, we actually just ended up getting just heavy rain. That's all we got. We didn't get a whole lot of wind. There was some flooding, I think, in some areas of Virginia, and some loss of power. But in our area, we didn't really experience a whole lot. It just rained the whole time. So we
right.
dodged a lot of it. But unfortunately, a lot of, North Carolina, South Carolina, all those places, unfortunately, didn't fare so well. And they're covered in water right now. I saw some pictures of this entire interstate. It was just covered in water. And just all sorts of devastation. So my heart goes out to those people because I can't even begin to understand that. But
yeah, for sure. I think definitely all of our hearts go out to those who are affected by Hurricane Florence. I have a few friends and family there as well. We just pray that everybody works together and God gets them through it.
Yeah, sure. My question is how do you sift through? How do you get rid of all that water? You just have to let it, evaporate? Like, do they have to have a machine, like a crews go in and suck that up? I mean, I don't know if that's a stupid question or not, but it's like, that's a lot of water to have to deal with.
I'd imagine most of it is kind of waiting it out, but, they have engineers that use even just a combination of like sandbags and things to kind of divert water or hold it back in certain areas that maybe will encourage the water to stick in a certain area. But I'd imagine in our day and age they have some kind of like siphoning trucks, machines that will siphon and move water around. Who knows though? I'm in Brazil where you just kind of grab onto a tree or grab onto your house or grab onto something when the flood waters come.
Gotcha.
That is a good question, because like looking at the news and looking at the pictures of that, like that is so much water.
Yeah, it's probably the worst hurricane that they've had in a long, long time, because it typically, for the most part, doesn't really hit that part of the country when hurricanes come in. But like I said, thankfully Virginia didn't get. They fared pretty well in that, so it was just dealing with the rain. That's all. For several days, even when they expected us to get some rain yesterday, we had rain in the morning, but probably about 10-11 o'clock it was sunny the rest of the day. So we fared pretty well there. Then on Saturday, Ronnie, or excuse me, not Ronnie, my bad, Patrick was there. Hi, Ronnie.
Hi, Ronnie.
Patrick was there, and Chris McCracken, who you guys might know from Married to the Games, and another buddy.
Yeah, shout out to Married to the Games podcast.
And another buddy of ours, his name's Matt, otherwise known as Arctic Warlocks. We played some of the Call of Duty Blackout for Black Ops 4, which is like, PUBG. Nice. PUBG is officially dead. I declare it dead. I'm sure many others have declared it dead.
You're declaring it. That's a big claim.
Way better PUBG, and it was just a lot of fun. And I got my first win, first number one with that. I guess it would be called a steak dinner. So that was awesome. It was a good time.
Well done, sir.
Thank you. I felt like I didn't really do a whole lot. In fact, that's pretty much a trend in a lot of those games. Like, I feel like I'm just sort of going along for the ride. I may get a kill here and there, but for the most part, I'm just sort of hanging on and surviving.
That's all it is.
If I make
that's
it,
the game right there. You got to survive. I mean, and don't sell yourself short. I mean, we got a ton of chicken dinners in PUBG together. I would say probably 15 of my 24 chicken dinners were with you. So it's not a coincidence.
That's so sweet.
Man, I'm so glad I ate dinner already, because I'm really hungry now. You keep talking about chicken dinners.
But so that was awesome. And then Sunday is the typical church routine for me. We usually leave out of here at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and it takes about an hour and change to get to my church. And then, I lead a Sunday school class, and then I lead worship after that. And then after that, we have, I'm the youth leader of the church, so we have youth group right after. So we did all that, which was awesome, as always. And then Sunday nights, my wife's family and I, it's something we do every week, because my father-in-law actually works at a hospital out of town in the next state over, actually, and he's gone 3 or 4 days of the week, and so, but then he comes back for 3 days, and so when he comes back, our big family time is for us to get together and go to this local Mexican restaurant here, which is phenomenal. Some of the best Mexican I've ever had. And that's saying something for a place like, the city I'm in. And so that's something we always do. So we went out for dinner Sunday night, and then after that we went over to my in-laws' house, and I introduced them to a card game. We're big into board games, card games, that kind of stuff. And I introduced them to a card game called Exploding Kittens.
Oh, yeah. I played that one.
I've heard of this.
That sounds like my kind of game.
It is phenomenal, and it is very cutthroat. It's basically Russian roulette in card form, with some strategy involving cats.
All right.
Yeah, and it is so much fun, and they had a ball with it. That was actually the second time we played, because I played with them last weekend, but my wife missed out on it, so she was there that Sunday night, so she got to play it. So that was so much fun. And then Monday was pretty much back to the work grind. As of recording time right now, we had rehearsal practice worship team practice on Tuesday nights. So I just got back a little while ago from that, and that was basically my week.
Nice.
It's pretty good. I got a question for you about the Call of Duty thing. Do you guys, because I didn't think the game came out yet, do you guys have like a test version of that you were able to play? Or?
Yeah, it was actually a beta. If you pre-ordered the game, you had 2 different betas you could be a part of. They were private betas. Correct me if I'm wrong. They might be doing an open beta pretty soon, but I could be wrong about that.
No, I don't know about that.
Yeah, but they did a couple of closed betas. One was the private beta for the multiplayer, like their normal Call of Duty type stuff. And then the one that they had this month was for Blackout, which was, the Battle Royale style with Call of Duty-esque things. And I really enjoy it. The only thing I will say about it that I'm not a big fan of is, and I'm sure Patrick can attest to this as well, the idea that, they've incorporated a lot of Call of Duty elements, including zombies. There are zombies in Blackout, and I don't really care for that, just because you're already having to think about strategically moving around and being mindful of where other players are at, and to just throw zombies that just keep coming at you into the mix it's just not fun to me.
Right.
I'm sure.
I agree.
No, go ahead.
I agree. I mean, it's like a double-edged sword. I mean, you can get in there and kill zombies and get some of the best loot on the map, but you're also losing health because these zombies are not going down. There's a bunch of zombies, and then you don't know if it's a zombie coming towards you or the footsteps of a zombie, or if it's another player's footsteps. So it's kind of difficult to discern between the two.
Yeah, and basically, they actually added another zombie-like creature from their zombies history that is like this giant freaking creature, and he's basically a bullet sponge. And you have to just keep pumping him full of bullets in order to kill him. And when you actually do kill him, the reward is, I've heard, not worth it. So there's really no point. I get what they were trying to do, but I don't think they need to keep that in there.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things in Call of Duty is their zombies. So and it's not where it's everywhere. I mean, there's only certain parts where there are zombies. I mean, it's in the asylum, and then I think it's where the beacons are. I never went to any of the beacons, but that's what I heard. That's what Arctic said, was that's where the zombies were, and I never went to one of them either.
Gotcha. Well, that's pretty much me. Lucas, how's your week, my friend?
Man, my week, it's been good, I would have to say. I work from home, so usually my work week consists of kind of moving around between my computer, using my phone to keep in contact with people. I really relate to what Patrick was talking about, how he's always answering emails and talking to people, because here in Brazil, less people use emails and more people use WhatsApp. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that app before. Anyone?
No, I don't know.
I've heard of WhatsApp. Is that the same thing?
WhatsApp, yeah.
Okay.
But it's kind of the play on words. WhatsApp, WhatsApp.
Yeah.
But it's a texting app that is super popular outside of the U.S. So pretty much between most countries in the U.S., I can talk to people in South Africa, talk to people in all over Brazil, and they all use it. But I'm constantly chatting on that, talking to people, answering questions. It probably takes up a lot more time than it should. But like I was saying, I work from home, so sometimes I'm at the computer, sometimes I'm on my phone talking on WhatsApp, sometimes I'm washing dishes, working on that good old honeydew list. So my job is since I work from home, it changes all the time. But one of the highlights of my week was actually this past weekend. I went to a little conference with the 16 ministry coordinators for the Church of the Nazarene that I serve with. And it was a really great time with 16 men and women that are, just giving of their lives. I'm pretty sure all of us are working as volunteers. We have other sources of income and other ways that we're working, but we're very passionate about the ministries that we do, the things we're doing with the church. And it was just a really great meeting, talking with them and getting to know them more. In fact, some of the guys I got to know a little too much, because the first night we were there, I stayed with I think 4 or 5 guys, different ministry coordinators, and I think 3 of the 5 snored the entire night.
Ah, jeez.
I'm talking about 5 hours of snoring in total. And you know how I know it was 5 hours of total snoring?
Because you were up the entire time.
No, I was only up probably in total, from what I can remember, about an hour of it. But I have a sleep app. I don't know if you guys have ever used sleep apps before, but my wife got me kind of hooked on it, because they have these little free sleep apps that will kind of detect your sleeping habits. It will record when you're snoring. It will tell you what kind of quality of sleep you got. If you pay extra, you can find out the best times to go to sleep. But I don't believe in that voodoo stuff, so I just use the free app to kind of keep me aware. And sometimes we kind of have a little competition to see who has the best quality of sleep every night. But I had that app running, and the next morning it said I had 30% quality of sleep, which is easily the lowest I've ever had. And then it literally showed a whole line of snoring, sound symbols, and said 5 hours of snoring. And so these dudes, they told me the next day, they were like, oh yeah, I have sleep apnea and I snore all the time. And so then the next night came, actually the next day came, and while they were all talking and doing something else, I ran into the room, grabbed my stuff, and I put it all in another room. And needless to say, the next night, I slept like a baby, and it was awesome.
Nice.
Much improvement.
Yeah, it was much of an improvement. But besides work, I've been doing a little bit of gaming. I've been working on that old Rayman Legends. I don't know if you guys have ever played it before, but it is a very fun side-scrolling, side-scroller.
I absolutely love that game. I especially love all the music levels in the game. Those things are freaking awesome.
Totally. It's really fun. So I've gotten to the point where I have 97% of the trophies, and all I have left to do is the daily challenges. But in order to get enough of the daily challenges, in order to get the platinum, which, I don't know, Ronnie, you don't even know what I'm talking about right now, do you? With platinums and...
Absolutely not.
Fantastic. Well, to give you the very short version, with PlayStation, when you do certain feats and achievements and do certain things, you get these little digital trophies. And they make a little dinging sound, and there's bronze, silver, gold, and platinum.
Gotcha.
Anyways, I like these little digital trophies. So sometimes I play a game that I really like until I get all the trophies. I'm a fun little nerd like that.
Yeah,
and,
how many platinums do you have?
I think I'm going to save that for our Good Morning for Confessions time. No, I think I only have 114 platinums.
Gotcha. Is that both
Give or take a few.
PS3 and PS4, I'm assuming?
Yeah, that's PS3, PS4, and Vita.
Oh,
that
Vita.
Is correct, sir.
Forgot about Vita.
Yeah, don't forget about that Vita.
Don't feel bad. I have a lot less than that. Number one, because I've only been a PlayStation owner for since Christmas of last year, and the other thing is I'm just not an achievement hunter. I'm just not into that.
Well, I'm definitely not as bad as I used to be.
Yeah, I mean, I was never an achievement hunter or a trophy hunter until really recently. I think I have one PS3 platinum trophy, and that was from The Walking Dead, which was...
Yeah, I was going to say, is it a Telltale game?
You play the game, you get the platinum. I mean, that's pretty much what it is.
I love those games.
But the games that are coming out now, they are so much more fun to get trophies. Back in the PS3 days, I mean, there's some of the trophies that you would have to get. I mean, they're outrageous. They're grindy. They take forever. It's not fun. But now the games that are coming out, the side quests that get you those trophies are actually part of the story. There's a reason to do it, which makes it that much more fun to get those trophies and to get that ding and to get that platinum. I mean, the most recent platinum I got was the Spider-Man game, and every single collectible mission, side mission, all of those there was a part of the story, a part of the Spider-Man lore, which made the game so much better. And like I said, I was never into the trophy hunting until recently, when the game started getting the trophy system started getting better, where I guess developers were setting up their trophies to be not only attainable but fun while you're at it.
Yeah, there's definitely some people that have figured it out for sure.
Definitely, yeah. I think Spider-Man's the one trophy that I think I may actually go for. That's the one that looks interesting to me.
Cool. Well, I'll have to say Rayman Legends is not one of those games because they made it so you could get most of the trophies, 97% of the trophies, easily within a month. And then the last trophy is to get like so many awesome points or whatever. And the only way you can get them is through daily challenges. And the daily challenges aren't that bad. You can do like 2 a day, and then they also have 2 weekly challenges that you do. But in all, if you don't get like the best trophies, which I cannot get the best trophies because I just don't have that time or that dedication. or discipline.
Play 1,000 hours for the platinum.
No, it's not 1,000 hours, but it's like 10-15 minutes a day for like 2 months, 2 or 3 months. And so you just kind of have to just, I play it with my son sometimes, and then sometimes I'll just be like, I have 10 minutes, I'll just play real quick and get a silver or gold trophy, and it's good enough. But anyway, so I'm grinding on that. And then I'm also playing a game called Foul Play. That's a brawler. It was free on PS Plus, or it is free on PS Plus right now, actually. And it's like I don't know if you guys have played like Streets of Rage or those brawlers where you kind of, it's like a side scroller, but you can kind of move up and down, and you just kind of beat up guys that come at you.
It's a beat 'em up.
It's a beat 'em up, and it's really fun. And I've been playing that while also learning how to stream. So I've been trying out the whole streaming thing, and it's been very interesting. I'm pretty sure every time I stream, I mess something up. I think the other day I was streaming and I had plugged in my microphone to my phone instead of my controller. So I was just talking to myself for like 30 minutes, literally talking to myself. And then, of course, some of you have heard the short little YouTube video I put on.
Oh, dude,
on
that was
channel.
so funny.
Or
Ain't that a kick in the head?
There's no video. I wish there were the video, but I'd probably get turned into social services. But pretty much the short story is my daughter kicked my son in the head, and or in the face or the head, I don't know. And wow. I'd say streaming so far has been really funny, and I've also made myself look like an idiot a number of times. And then other than that, not much else has been going on. I, unfortunately, unlike you guys, I haven't been able to check out much on sports. My West Virginia Mountaineers didn't get to play this past weekend because of Hurricane Florence, and so Who knows if they'll get to play NC State another day. But other than that, I checked out some highlights, so I'm not totally in the dark. But you guys are gonna have to get me in the know. So with that in mind, I think we should move into our news section. What do you guys think?
Sure, let's go ahead.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds great.
Fantastic. So who wants to start?
I can start. I can start with our general news. So I'll be talking about more like entertainment and technology in this section. So the first story that I have is close to my heart, and it's about Superman, obviously.
Da, 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 da.
Was that
Strike.
Was that it? Was that the note? What's that?
That was Superman, right?
Was it?
Dun, dun, dun.
Ba, 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 ba.
Oh, dang it. That's it up again. I always do that.
That's Mark.
John Williams messes with my mind.
I think what you were doing is a different Superman theme, but so you're not completely wrong.
It just totally threw me off.
I'm sorry. Sometimes I can't resist.
He's quitting.
But yeah, Henry Cavill out as Superman.
Has he broken your heart?
He really has. I mean, like, I want the DC universe, because I've always been a DC guy. I've been a Superman, Batman, Joker, all the DC heroes and villains. Always been a fan. So I really wanted Henry Cavill to do a good job, and I think he did a good job. But I think it was all about the stories and the direction and the types of people that they got in those movies, and it was just, I don't know, man. It was just frustrating to see it go downhill as fast as it was. But not only is Henry Cavill out as Superman, but it looks like Ben Affleck is going to be out as Batman as well. And one of the reasons I believe that is there was a story out that he recently was admitted to rehab due to alcoholism. So
really,
yeah. So when he was admitted, there were talks about removing him, and he was also discussing that he may want to get out as well because of Henry Cavill was out as Superman. So I don't know how the DC universe is all going to shake up now that both Batman and Superman are no longer going to be in it. I mean, those are the 1-2 punch, the biggest heroes in the DC universe. But
do you think they're going to have to start over again?
You know what? I was thinking about that, and they're going to be doing a Flash movie. And one of the storylines with Flash is he can.
Don't say go back in time.
He can time travel, and
he totally goes back in time.
There can also be.
I know he.
Flashpoint.
I know he does, but that's how they're going to reboot it, isn't it? They're just going to be like, oh, let's just make Flash go back in time. It'll be fine.
I think if they don't reboot the entire franchise, if they want to continue going on with that storyline, that would be the only way I think they would be able to do it, is Flash going through time and changing the timeline, or going to another Earth, an alternate universe, whatever, something like that, where they're going to have to do it. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, they've got the Flash movie in pre-production at the moment, like they're writing the script, and not to mention they have the Wonder Woman movie, the sequel, that they are filming right now. So that is continuing to go. So whether or not they continue the actual quote unquote DCEU, I don't know. Like that. The whole state of that thing is a mess, and it just seems like they keep trying to throw things at the wall and see what sticks. Now, I will say, Patrick, that with all that report from I believe it was the Hollywood Reporter that mentioned that he was out as Superman. WB actually put out this like super PC statement, basically like, we've not made any decisions about any Superman movies at the moment, and blah blah blah. And Henry Cavill actually posted this like really weird cryptic
I was just
video
gonna ask
on
about
Instagram.
that was so weird.
What was it?
It was basically him holding up this Superman action figure with like the music in the background. It's like da 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 da.
No, but it was
bark.
What? Dogs
like
barking.
Oh, I have to check.
I was
that
like,
out.
what
so
is this?
weird. You have to watch it, man.
There is no 100% confirmation that he is out as Superman.
There's no way he's going to be coming back. I mean, they've been talking about it for so long, and with,
I think
with
the damage is done.
With him going to the Witcher series, he's doing all these other movies now. So I just don't.
All these mustache movies,
right? The
too many mustaches. Too many mustaches.
Oh man, and that ruined the movie. It's like, you see that guy, I was like, your face looks so dumb.
We're gonna leave that one alone.
We should move on.
So there's not a Batman or a Superman right now? Is that what you're telling me? They're vacant positions.
What, you want to try out? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Ronnie, do it.
I think I want to pitch an idea here. To be honest with you, I feel like this is gold. So just hear me out. So instead of having a Batman and a Superman, you combine them into one superhero. Yes. And that superhero is played by Dwayne "The Rock." Series saved.
Perfect. Well, I love it.
He's playing another super, like a DC Universe character. So I don't know if they could do that.
Well, if
they need to,
they're gonna have to combine a third character.
Well, if The Rock is going to be in there, then they're going to have to throw in Kevin Hart. Obviously.
There you go.
I agree.
Oh yeah,
I agree.
definitely.
But
You know The Rock will do it.
Yeah.
yeah, Ben Affleck. There hasn't been an actual report as to whether or not he's definitely out. There's been speculation that he is, because of definitely what Patrick mentioned with the issues with the alcoholism and his time in rehab, and plus it just seems like Ben's been looking for a way out. Honestly, they've been trying to work on this this movie. I don't know if you guys know who Matt Reeves is, but he's directed all the most recent Planet of the Apes movies. He is actually working on a Batman movie as we speak. He's turned in a first draft of the script, but it's been up in the air as to whether or not Ben Affleck was going to be his Batman or not. And at first, Ben Affleck was supposed to write, direct, and star in that movie, and then that got dropped, and then they got a new director, and blah blah blah. So I think Ben's just been looking for a way out this whole time, and honestly, I think they need to cut their losses. I personally thought Ben Affleck was a great Batman. You can say what you will, but I think he was some of the best parts of the DCEU movies, even though they didn't 100% go accurately to what Batman is. He still was a great Batman. But yeah, I think they just need to go fresh start.
And the only way to do that is Flash going back in time.
There it is. Flashpoint.
Yeah, but I mean, in reality, hopefully he gets right. He gets better.
For
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah. So my next story is sticking with the superhero element. The new Captain Marvel trailer dropped today. I don't know if you guys checked that out, but Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. I have no clue who Captain Marvel is at all. But
Me neither.
right? I mean,
I have no idea what's going on, but I loved it.
but I'm intrigued. I mean, Marvel continues to introduce superheroes from the comic book universe, which no one knows. Well, the normal day-to-day movie goer does not know anything about. I mean, obviously the comic book nerds will know who Captain Marvel is, all the villains, all the side characters and things like that. But I'm thinking, like, I didn't know anything about Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't know anything about Ant-Man, Doctor Strange. I mean, really didn't know anything about Iron Man. I mean, the movie that started this whole cinematic universe, really. But the trailer is so good.
It gave me goosebumps. At the end.
It starts. I mean, it's set in the 1990s. So what a year it is in the 90s, I'm not sure. But within the
Blockbuster's still alive.
first 8 seconds, she crashes through the roof of a Blockbuster video store. And after the first 8 seconds, I was like, I don't even need to watch any more of this because I'm already in.
Shut up and take my money.
So then Nick Fury, you hear him, Samuel L. Jackson, he starts narrating. And I'm like, oh yeah, Nick Fury. And then they show him, and he looks so young. I don't know how Marvel does it. Right? Yeah, he has both.
He has 2 eyes.
So I wonder if we'll find out how he loses his eye. I don't know.
We're gonna get the eye patch origins, which we've all been wanting to see. How he gets the eye patch.
That's the number one, ask for all of those comic book nerds out there. How did he lose his eye? But they made him look so young. I don't know how Marvel does it. I don't know if you've seen Civil War, where they made Robert Downey Jr. look like he was in high school or college. And then the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, when they made Kurt Russell look young when they were back in like the 80s, I believe it was. It is just amazing how they do that.
And Ant-Man and the Wasp recently with Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas, that's right.
Great job with that.
Spoilers. I haven't seen that yet.
Oh,
go see it.
Yeah, it's the Marvel movies are so much better. They are done with such care. But the DC universe, it's just a mess. We're not going to beat a dead horse there, but also in the trailer, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know about anything about Captain Marvel, the villains, and so forth. But there's at one point where Captain Marvel punches an old lady in the face while on a bus. It's what
my wife totally looked at me and was like, "Did she just punch that old lady?"
Why did it was like?
Yes,
why
I'll
would they
explain later.
show that? Why was she punching
Okay.
someone in the face? So
Shock value.
I'm going to give it to Mark because it sounds like he knows what's happening there.
I do have some light to shed. So basically, the main, or at least one of the main villains in this movie is an alien race called the Skrulls, and you see them in the trailer. The Skrulls have shape-shifting abilities, and so I imagine that that Carol is looking down and she's able to tell that this old lady is actually a Skrull, and she's like, "Nah, you're done." Punch to the face.
Eat that.
What if she was wrong?
Old lady scroll.
Well, she's freaking Captain Marvel, so I'd hope she'd have a little bit more than a guess or a hunch.
So can Captain Marvel? Can she fly? Is she like Superman?
Yes.
She
can fly.
Is she bulletproof?
I don't know about being bulletproof, but she could probably stop bullets before they even
I
came
think
to her.
Patrick's starting to crush a little bit. He might have a replacement for Superman.
So just to help you out a little bit more, she is actually okay. So you know Ronan from the Guardians of the Galaxy,
Right. Yeah.
who is also in this movie. He's a Kree, and
Isn't Thanos in charge of the Kree? Is that right?
he is. When we see them in the first Avengers, he is,
Okay.
or in Guardians of the Galaxy as well. He is, but this is obviously, you said in the 90s. She is part of a group of Kree soldiers. That's why her suit is green at the beginning of the trailer, because she's part of this group of soldiers that are Kree, and she has actually acquired her powers from who we're assuming is, there's a guy named Mar-Vell. He's the original Captain Marvel. That's who we believe to be Jude Law's character.
Marvel.
It's like
Okay.
Mar-Vell.
Wow. Captain Marvel and Marvel.
Yes.
Is it?
And so
is his name Captain Marvel?
No. He's just Mar-Vell.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna change my name to Lucas.
But
hey guys, I'm Lucas. I'm inspired.
But yeah, she basically, through him saving her at one point, she kind of gets his powers mixed with her. So she technically becomes part human, part Kree. So that's where she gets all her powers from.
Oh, okay.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And there's your nerd moment for today.
All right. Well, that's all I got for the general news. Ronnie, you got some sports for us?
Well, I do have some sports, but I want to say first of all that I learned so much.
Yeah, you do.
I never have a clue half the time what you guys are talking about. And I hope that just one day I can randomly just bring this up in conversation, like I know what I'm talking about.
Well, you're about to not hear me for about 5 to 10 minutes. So
5 to 10, is that a promise?
5 to 10. I don't check my notes here. Well, yeah, so I will talk about sports a little bit. First of all, I just got a notification that the Reds did win. They beat the Brewers, who are in the playoff hunt. The Reds are still about 20 games under 500,
Yikes.
but we are rebuilding. So
Oh,
next
geez,
year-
the
always
rebuilding.
next year.
It's always rebuilding.
It's a process everybody needs to do.
Have you already called the managers to suggest some AAA guys to step up?
I have not done that yet. I'm in the process. I'm in the process of handwriting some letters that I'm going to be sending out. But no, they're not doing too great this year, but they've shown signs of being good. I mean, they started 18-3.
I was like 18-3. That's not that bad.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I wish that was the case. I would be
Jeez,
way more
3 and
jacked
18.
about this. So they started really horrible, and since then they've actually played pretty steady baseball, probably 500. Obviously, I mentioned the Bengals. They won. Lucas, Mark, do you guys have favorite NFL teams?
I feel like if I say anything, I'm going to get booed off the podcast.
Wait, I have a team. I like the New England.
Steelers fan?
Negative.
I like the New England Patriots. The
Lucas,
Patriots.
I love you.
It's a new team, the Patriots. No,
The Patriots.
The Pat Riots.
I'm not.
So you're both Patriot fans. Is that what
No, I was just joking. I was making a very
No!
to Miss Marvell.
Yeah, Mark was so excited.
I know. No, I'm actually I'm a free agent for the most part. My uncles are Detroit Lions fans, which sorry,
Gotcha.
uncles, for what's going on right now. A lot of my friends and family in West Virginia are Pittsburgh Steelers fans. And yeah. And my dad back in the day was a Redskins fan. So I've kind of like had seasons of fandom. And now I'm more of an individual guy. Like I said last week, I love team sports, but I really like to kind of root for the stories. So like when something happens, like with last week when Aaron Rodgers was injured and he had that comeback against was it one of the bird teams? I don't remember which one it was.
One of the bird teams.
Last week,
Falcons.
I think it might have been the Falcons. Last week they played Minnesota, and they were actually the second tie of the season.
Yes. Speaking of that, that's the only notes I had for sports was what is with all the ties lately? The Browns and the Steelers, Minnesota.
Totally
Is that new? Or have ties always been there?
I think the Bengals tied like 3 years ago or something like that. It's been a while.
Really?
And I remember when that had happened, I was like, man, I didn't even know a tie was possible in the NFL. It's like, wow,
I didn't either.
Don't have a winner?
Yeah, like here in Brazil, I make fun of the soccer teams and the soccer games all the time because it seems like half the time they end 0-0, 1-1, and I'm like, well, I got a real American sport where there's always a winner, and now I'm a big fat liar apparently. So
there is not. There's been 2 this year, which is crazy.
Yeah,
that's the first time in NFL history that there's been a tie in the first 2 weeks, 2 ties in the first 2 weeks of the season.
Really, that's crazy. But to answer your question, Ronnie, I don't have a team right now. It's really hard to follow sports in general from Brazil, but I appreciate NFL football a lot, and I love to watch it. And I usually root for the underdog, so I root for the Browns every year. So that's all I got to say about that.
I gotcha. They could be very well 2-0, but they're
no
1-1.
Yeah, 0-1-1.
They had an opportunity to win both games, and they blundered that one.
No surprise there.
Now that I've been outed on a lie, thanks, Lucas.
Anytime.
I tend to go with my home team, and even though I've lived in Virginia for 12 years, I was born and raised in New Hampshire, in New England, so I tend to go with the New England teams like the Patriots. Oh, the Cheatriots, Tom Brady, blah blah, Deflategate. Yeah, okay.
You said it.
Sometimes we all wish our teams would cheat a little more, to be honest. Right?
But I go, Patriots, Red Sox, definitely a big Red Sox fan. Bruins, all those guys. Celtics.
Gotcha. So you don't have a lot to be unhappy about, is what you're telling me.
This is true.
Well, we enjoy misery here.
Well, misery loves company, so
So the Bengals obviously off to a great start. And one side story, I work directly across my desk. Sitting right across from me is a Steelers fan, like a diehard Steelers fan. Like she wears like Steelers shoes, like she's dyed her hair Steelers colors before.
Oh my gosh,
Patrick, you know her.
Yeah,
it's Debbie. And she's a diehard Steelers fan.
So you guys are like you guys are like best friends forever, right?
Yeah, I mean, normally it's just her burying me with her Steelers and me just taking it, because there's nothing I could do. But this year so far has been quite a treat. I got a dry erase board with their records, that I'm keeping very thick, bold track of for everybody to see.
Nice.
I got that nice and written out for everybody, and everybody comes up there like, yeah, Steelers suck.
nice.
So that has been a pleasant surprise this year. I'm pretty excited about that. But the one main sports story that I wanted to bring up, and I think it's a really interesting one on like multiple fronts. Have you guys heard of the Cleveland Browns wide receiver Josh Gordon?
Yes,
I've heard the name.
Because of the recent story I have.
Yeah, I'll give you a little bit of backstory. So Josh Gordon had been with the Browns for like 6 years, and he came into the league, and this guy was unbelievable. I think 2013 was like a historical year for him, and he was just, he was awesome. He's one of the best wide receivers in the league immediately. and he struggled with substance abuse and addiction, and he didn't play an NFL game for 4 years.
Wow.
Well, the Browns stuck with him this whole time while he was going through all of this, and this year was kind of like a comeback type year. So he played the first game with the Browns. He had a touchdown catch. He looked pretty good, actually. I mean, he looked like every team in the league would probably want to have him. And then, kind of out of nowhere, it seemed like the Browns announced over the weekend that they were going to be releasing him on Monday. There were a couple reasons that they quoted, one of which was he showed up late to the facility, and they said he was not himself, so they questioned whether the substance abuse had happened again. And I guess, whatever, they didn't, I don't think they let a lot of details out on that particular part. But he came, they basically were going to release him. I think like 8 different teams, or it was like 8 or 13 different teams, tons of teams reached out to them to trade for him because they heard they were going to be releasing him. And like, go figure, the New England Patriots were the team.
Surprise,
the team
surprise.
like, we'll give you a 5th round pick for this all-star wide receiver. And just recently, I think it was Patrick actually that sent me the article where he failed another drug test just recently, and he was quoted as saying he was celebrating, or he had a celebratory time. So then he basically went back on his addiction and abused substance again. So it's a really interesting story, because you have a guy here that has all the talent in the world. Most NFL players, probably any of us would kill to be as talented as this guy. It's a guy that has literally everything but struggles with addiction. And I think it's one of those stories that show you how powerful that addiction could be for somebody to have everything and pretty much just throw it away. Just repeatedly. I mean, he hadn't been in the NFL for 4 years. There were a couple times, I think, in that 4 years where he was on his way back, and he would have like a relapse with addiction or something like that. But I think it's a really interesting story, and like me personally, like I've had people in my life that have suffered from addiction, and it's a crazy thing. And I think this is like it's just one of those things where most people would look at this and be like, oh man, what an idiot, like how could this guy do that? That's it, it goes to show you that it's not, like he might just not be an idiot that is like, oh, like I'd rather just not play football anymore, but more of a more powerful thing that I think a lot of people would understand. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I guess he right now is pending suspension. He is a New England Patriot because I believe the trade did go through. And after the trade went through is when he relapsed and used again. And I think that's a pending suspension. So I actually think he may end up playing a couple games for the Patriots, depending on most recent news. But I don't think I've seen that the suspension was rolled out just yet. Did you? You didn't hear anything?
No, I haven't. I heard that he will play as soon as Monday or Sunday. I'm sorry, but I haven't heard anything as far as when the suspension will occur. If there's going to be an appeal process, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I think a lot of times there's those appeal processes where these guys are appealing it, and they're appealing it for like 5 and 6 weeks, and they're playing this whole time. The suspension's rolled out later down the road. So, I mean, if he is appealing it, I'm sure he will play at least a few games before that comes to term. But I think it's just a really powerful thing, like just the story in general, when you look past just somebody saying this guy is a moron for doing this. The whole addiction thing is like, it's just a really, really powerful thing, and it kind of goes to show you with this particular story, a guy that had literally everything and just couldn't work past it. So... but I thought it was interesting. I'd kind of like to hear your guys' thoughts on that, if you have anything.
Yeah, I think, man, that's sad to hear, but at the same time, it's the reality of addiction. I think all of us, to some degree, have dealt with addiction in some ways, and maybe we'll have an episode in the future where we'll talk about addiction. I think it's really important to talk about. It's really important to face it, because it's something that hits every society, every culture. It's not just Americans, it's not just the rich, it's the poor, it's the middle class, it's men, women, and I hope that, through this situation, that maybe some good will come out of it, as in it'll just bring more attention to the fact that addiction is not something to just be like, oh, he was an idiot. He should have made a better decision. Those kind of things. It's not that simple. It's something that it's not just about making a decision. It's about getting help. It's about working together. It's about finding, what can help you. And he obviously hasn't found an answer to that, because he was suspended for, you said, 4 years, and he didn't get to play, and he finally got his chance back, and he threw it away.
Yeah, it was on and off for 4 years, and I think there were multiple suspensions within that time frame. It seemed like every time he was ready to come back, like there was something else again, and it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe there's another suspension looming, or another failed drug test or something like that. But I think largely for 4 years, he was just kind of in the process of going back and forth with that addiction, and struggling with it apparently.
Yeah. Well, I hope he learns from it this time around, and that he seeks help from God, from family, from people that can.
Absolutely.
Because for as much talent as he has, it's a shame to see that go to waste. He's in a place of influence, and there's so much good, outside of the field that he could do in the world. It's a shame for this to happen.
I do always love when athletes use their platform to do any good, whether that's charity work, stuff like that. It would be cool to see a positive story come out of this whole thing.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people were nervous too, because he's going to New England. He's been traded to New England, so he's leaving basically every support network that he's had over the past 6 seasons.
That's true.
With the Browns, so it's a scary thing for sure. But I wouldn't look at him as just being this kind of idiot that he just keeps doing this, like that's his own fault. I think addiction's a very powerful thing that it's hard to understand, unless you're sometimes pretty close to it,
Yeah.
So I definitely try to reserve that judgment, because that's something a lot of people deal with. I do have one more sports topic. This one is pretty important. So, fantasy football. I won last week in our dynasty league.
And so do I.
Yeah, buddy.
Well done.
And this week we have a inner podcast death match between me and Patrick.
Oh, dun dun
dun! We are squaring off this week. My team, Andrew Luck's book club, against Patrick's team, my two dads, in a grudge match.
The names for your guys' teams are hilarious. Andrew Luck's book club and my two dads. I saw Patrick's earlier this week, and I laughed out loud so much.
Yeah, mine is. I don't know if you remember the '80s sitcom My Two Dads.
Of course,
right? So
yeah, that's why.
Yeah, it's a team that both me and my dad own. So that's one of the other things that we talk about on Sundays is who we're gonna play, what are we gonna do, what do you think about this defense, what should we do? So, and we're both dads, so my two dads, why not?
How logical.
Wow, did you just make that up?
What's that? No, that's the reason for that's the reason for it. Yeah.
Well done.
Yep.
Well done.
Yeah, my team name did not come like that. I think so. I was looking at the players that I had, and I was like, all right, I got Andrew Luck, so I'm gonna do some Andrew Luck research, because I'm a nerd and I don't have any better to do than search Andrew Luck stuff. And I found out that he actually does have a book club. Like he shares like a weekly book every single week. Like Andrew Luck's like a Stanford guy, so like
that's true.
He's like a very intelligent person.
I remember when he played for Stanford.
But he actually does have a book club, which just is kind of funny. Like I'm looking through all this stuff, and I'm like, that stupid book club thing keeps coming up. And I was like, actually, that works. That's gonna be good. We're going with Andrew Luck's book club.
That's hilarious.
So that worked out pretty well. I'm hoping next week I have a good update. It's not been a great year so far.
Well, we've played how many years in a row? So I played you like 6 times. I think I'm 6-0, right? Against you.
I don't recall the exact standing. That's for sure. I'm gonna have to go back and look at the history. But yeah, I think our teams make the playoffs like almost every single year.
Yeah, we do.
So it should be good. Yeah, it should be a good matchup. But we will a little teaser. We will have an update for you on that next week.
Ooh.
Looking forward to it.
Big stuff. And I think that's pretty much it for sports.
All right.
Mark, you up next?
All right, so I'll take it over with the video game news here. So I got a couple of, I guess, serious stories and a couple of pretty funny stories. So the first story I'm going to touch on, I'm sure many of you guys and some of the guys on the podcast have heard of the Twitch streamer. His name is Ninja. If you didn't know, Twitch is a video game streaming service, and Ninja has quite a few followers that watch his streams. He particularly likes to stream himself playing the video game Fortnite, which I'm sure many of you have heard of, and he's quite good at it. And he's actually well known for pretty much breaking Twitch, having the most concurrent people watching his stream at the same time. I think it was over 600,000 people watching his stream when he was streaming playing Fortnite with the rapper Drake, which was
I remember that.
Pretty big deal. But in any case, he is actually going to be on the cover of a magazine, of a little sports news outlet. You might have heard of them, ESPN. ESPN magazine. He will be featured on the cover. He is the very first professional gamer to be on the cover of ESPN magazine in the magazine's 20-year history.
Yeah, that's so
started
cool.
in March of 1998. So thus further legitimizing esports as a thing, because not only is he a Twitch streamer, he also does competitive esports as well.
And he really is a ninja. He really is a ninja.
Is he really a ninja?
Yeah, he went to college for it. I'm just kidding. That's not real.
Well, I mean, if we, knowing Lem, he went to clown college, so,
There could be a ninja college.
That's why he's so funny.
He's also got some sweet, like, bluish green hair. Like, if you actually go to ESPN.com right now and scroll down a little bit, you really can't miss him.
How can you be a ninja? How could you be a ninja and have that blue hair?
He has to put the ninja hood on first.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
He's also got a sweet headband in this picture.
This is true. But yeah, that's a big deal, man.
That's cool.
So, big congrats to Ninja for that. I know
we know he's listening right now.
Yes, Ninja.
Yeah, shout out.
What's up? Can I have some money? No.
Can I have some of your ninja skills?
I mean, dude gets paid bank. It's ridiculous. But in any case, so that pretty much covers that story. So there's a man wanted, and actually when I read this story over again, I realized where this all happened, and it made me laugh even more, because apparently this happened in New Hampshire, like not 30 minutes from where I grew up. So there's a man wanted by police after being filmed sending his daughter inside, and I don't know if you've seen these before. A lot of them, like malls and stuff, they have these like these prize machines where you can like put a quarter in, and you have this like blade, and you can move the blade around, and there are these various prizes tied to like string of some kind, and you have to try to cut the string, and whatever drops, you get that prize. Well, he's wanted by police because he actually let his daughter go inside the machine, and she grabbed several things, including
what? How do you get in there?
She was small enough to get in, I guess.
Patrick, you need to watch the video. I watched it earlier today, and it is crazy.
It shows her getting into the machine.
Yes, there is video of it.
Isn't there like a little like hatch that when you try to open it, you can't get in there? So how did?
Well,
like the claw machines where you can't reach in.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, apparently, not everybody thought of that.
Yeah.
Blade machine.
But yeah, so this happened at a mall in New Hampshire, and so somebody was videoing it, and
instead of stopping it, instead of getting the kid out of there out of danger into safety, let's just film it. I mean, what kind of society are we living in now? Jeez, oh,
well, and this report is from Kotaku. Basically, it says 2 people came in, and I heard them say, "That's so unsafe." So I went outside, and all I saw was the toddler's head peeping out of the front of the machine. So yeah, it made off with multiple things, including a Nintendo Switch and a Nintendo 3DS. And so police are trying to locate the man and his dog.
Patrick, I don't think you should be surprised. In this day and age, I can't tell you how many times I've seen those stories where they talk about animals dying because people are filming it and it's like drowning or it's a fish out of the water and someone needs to help put it back in the water, but everybody's filming it and around it and it ends up dying. People would rather film something and get, internet famous than really do some good sometimes. So it shouldn't be that big a surprise.
I mean, I get it if you are unable to help. If there's like a drowning dog in like a lake of ice, and it wouldn't be safe for multiple people to go in there. So for someone to sit back and film it, if you're like in a group of people, I get it. I mean, that's fine. But if you're just filming this and there is something you could do about it and you don't do anything about it, that's just disgusting.
I watched the video and the guy they weren't working fast. Like he's just squatting in front of the little hatch and he's just sticking his hand in there, pulls out a DS. Just sticks his hand in there, then he sticks his hand back in, pulls out a Nintendo Switch, and then eventually he pulls the hatch up, or pushes the hatch up, and this little, fuzzy-headed child just pops out of it like, congratulations, dude, you won a kid. It's like...
Ah, crap, I cut the wrong ribbon.
This umbilical cord looks like a ribbon. Yeah, and then they just walk off. Dark. They just walk off. So it was pretty crazy to
How
see.
long were they in there? Because I mean, whenever these machines they're in like public places. So
yeah, people were walking by, people were talking. This person was filming. The video was at least 3 minutes long, 3 or 4. And
wow.
So there was plenty of time for people to say something, to kind of intervene and help this child that was on a reconnaissance mission for her dad.
How old was this child? Did you say that?
I would say she's
years old.
Yeah, I was saying 2 or 3. She was a little bigger than I thought she would be. It didn't seem like a child of that size could fit in there, but man, when she popped out, she was fine, and she was just like, "What's up?" And then she just walked off.
Did I do good, Daddy?
Yeah, she was old enough to know what she was doing. Like she knew she was getting. She looked a little happy actually when she got out.
Well, it's probably like a game to her.
Probably.
But that's it. I'm out of news stories for that.
That's it. Well, man, Mark, thank you for that information. And it's very obvious you worked really hard to get that information. Speaking of working hard, that leads us right into our topic of the day, guys. Jobs and occupations. Without them, we wouldn't be able to eat much or sleep in very optimal conditions. And also because outside of sleeping, they take up more of our time than anything else. Well, unless you're Ronnie, then it would be beach volleyball. But seriously, jobs are important. In Ecclesiastes 3:12-13, the Bible says, "I know the best thing we can do is always enjoy life, because God's gift to us is the happiness we get from our food and drink and from the work we do." Our occupation should be a source of pride, and it should be a source of joy, but sometimes it isn't, which is just a part of life, I think. So today, why don't we talk a little bit about our jobs like we did last week, but maybe a little more detail. And maybe let's chat about our work philosophies and past experiences. In fact, let's start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start, as a famous woman from a certain musical said. And let's chat about our childhood dreams. So when you guys were little, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I immediately wanted to play for the Cincinnati Reds. That was that was my childhood dream. My dream job is to play for the Cincinnati Reds, and I always go into work, and people always say, dress for the job you want. And if that was me, I would be wearing a Cincinnati Reds uniform every day at work. I've always been good at baseball. I could throw, hit, very good hand-eye coordination, but it just wasn't. As I grew up, I found out that baseball wasn't my passion. But when I was a kid, all I wanted to do was play baseball.
Nice.
Yeah, Mine was a little bit on the other side of that. Mine was football. So I remember when I was a little kid, I would sit and watch football games with my dad and stuff. And then I played Little League football, so it was like, man, every time I walked out there, like I was one of the players, that I was watching on TV. But I think I played a couple years in high school, and that was pretty much it for that dream. I realized I don't think my knees or anything could have held up much longer than that. So
nice. Yeah, I when I was a kid, I wanted to either do something with music or be an artist. Basically, I did a lot of drawing when I was a kid. I'd have bunches and bunches of pads filled with different drawings that I would do. I've had plenty of time to just doodle, and I just really enjoyed it. I wanted to be a cartoonist if the whole music thing didn't work out. But basically, like I can just freehand. Like my favorite thing to draw when I was in like middle school and high school was like Dragon Ball Z characters, and I can pretty much freehand that completely from memory, because I would just constantly draw it over and over again, and that was something I really enjoyed. But that took a back seat when music really came to the forefront of what I wanted to do. So
cool. Well, when I was a little kid, I wanted to be an archaeologist, just like Indiana Jones, my friends. I wanted to have that whip, have that hat. That's right. And I love dinosaurs, and so I thought, what's the closest thing I can do to get really close to dinosaurs? And I thought, man, I got to be an archaeologist. But then when I discovered all the dinosaurs were dead, and that archaeologists really just dig up old dirty stuff, and it's a little boring.
Just digging holes all day.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I don't want to do that. And also, I think once I discovered that as a kid, I was like, well, I'm going to be a vet because I want to help animals. And then I discovered that half the time you have to put animals out of their misery or do surgery on animals, and that quickly got rid of that dream as well. Yeah.
Yikes.
So those were my two big ones, archaeology and being a vet. Now, I don't know if any of you guys wanted to be any kind of superheroes or anything when you were little, but Eric Green had a good question for us. He said, okay, guys, I got to know. There's 4 of you, and there are 4 Ghostbusters. Which of the Ghostbusters are you, and why?
Oh, good
and
question.
He said, personally, I always saw myself as Peter Venkman. Thanks, Eric, for the question. So let's imagine we're kids again, or maybe we can just imagine it now. If we were or are right now the Ghostbusters, who do you guys think we would all be?
I'm pretty sure I'd be Egon.
Nice.
I think
that's now you got to remind me who everybody is, because I haven't watched Ghostbusters in a long time. Egon's
the dude with the glasses,
the scientist, right?
He's a tall
fungus.
nerd.
Yeah.
I think I'd be him.
Yeah,
I would be Ray. Definitely.
That's Bill Murray, right?
No, that's
Dan Aykroyd.
Oh,
yeah.
I call Bill Murray.
Well, I guess I get the other guy. I would consider myself a little more on the reckless side. And I think that probably would be Peter Venkman, but yeah, I'll give it to you.
I got 3 Peters in a Ray.
three Peters in a Ray. Venkman is now wait, Venkman is that's Bill Murray?
That's Bill Murray's character.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll be the 4th guy. What was his name? I really don't
Winston?
remember.
He's Winston. He's the black guy.
Winston.
He's the 4th.
I'll be the black guy. That's cool.
He's known as the 4th guy.
I got some soul. I'm good. So no.
He's the straight man, basically.
He was always a nice guy, so I like him.
He's more serious.
Yeah. I can be serious when it calls for it, so I would be there to kind of be serious and keep you guys cool and collected, so that sounds good to me.
I feel like as the host, that's kind of what you already do.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, I like all those answers, so it's final. Those are our Ghostbusters roles from now until the end of time. So, moving on, we have another listener question. This one is from Patrick's wife, Melanie Novosel, who asked, what was the first job you ever had? Thanks, Melanie, for the question. I want you to know that I'm praying for you as you try to raise 3 kids.
I tell her that. Well, I tell her that all the time. You know, you got 2 kids and me, so she's got to take care of me too. And she always says, "I always got to take care of you too." Yep, that's it. But my first job, my first paying job was working for my dad. I was working for my dad, you know, quote unquote working. He delivered the Cincinnati Enquirer, so the Cincinnati newspaper. He owned his own route. He owned his own business, basically. And he delivered every day, 7 days a week, Sunday through Sunday. And I would help him stuff all the ads into the newspaper and do that I would say maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And it got paid to how many inserts we put into the paper. So I did that. And I did that, if I started around 7, I think I did that through maybe beginning of college to help him out. I didn't do it every day, but once I started like high school and college, I would only help him out on Sundays. And it was when I was stuffing inserts, that would be like during the day, like Saturdays and weeknights. But on Sundays, once I started to drive, I would help him deliver certain routes in his with the newspaper. So that wasn't during the day. That was in the middle of the night, between like 2 and 6 a.m. And it was a job. I got paid. I could support my gaming habits. I could get whatever I wanted, kind of thing. So I continued to do that. But my first real job was when I was 15 and a half. I was a dishwasher at a local restaurant. Now, I don't know if you've ever had a job like a dishwasher or any kind of job like that. It was grueling. That's all. I mean, you're just back in the kitchen cleaning dishes.
Yeah.
That was my job. And
that's awful.
I did that. Yeah, I did that for 6 months. And
that long, huh?
I right in the middle of my shift, I quit.
Wow.
Nice.
It was like one of those things like, who's coming with me? I'm out. Who's coming with me? And one of the cooks was like, I'm coming with you. So,
are you serious? Nice.
So
it's a revolt,
right? So we laughed, and I was like, yes, this is one of the best days ever. And guess what he did the very next day?
He went back.
Right back to work.
He went back. I was like, no. What are you doing, man? We're supposed to be a team. But
that's hilarious.
This was an uprising.
They gave him a raise and everything. They did not want to give me a raise. So,
well, I have to follow that up because I also worked for my dad for my first job. My dad was and is a drug dealer, aka a pharmacist, and I was.
He does it legally.
Yes, he does it very legally. But I was his drug runner for. He owned a pharmacy. And so I was the delivery boy, and I would pretty much at about 4 o'clock every day after school, they would give me baskets full of drugs and prescription medication and things, and I would drive all around our town of Grafton, and I would deliver medicine. And I learned all about the streets of my town that I had no idea existed. I met all kinds of strange people that I could spend a long time telling you about, but I'll save that for another time. Let's just say that I met a person that I wasn't sure sometimes if they were a he or a she, and
Yikes.
I can't say because of HIPAA laws anything else, but it was an interesting experience working for my dad. And then after that, I also worked in a kitchen for my first real job, not working for my dad, when I worked for Pizza Hut for a year. And I was a Pizza Hut chef, as it were. Threw toppings on pizza dough and threw it in the oven. And I ate a lot of Pizza Hut. I ate a lot of breadsticks, amidst also, of course, working really hard. And needless to say, after working there a year and now 18 years later, I still do not like Pizza Hut to this day. I will eat any other pizza in any other restaurant. Pizza Hut is not on the list. So.
Understandable, but that's sad.
Yeah, well.
Because pizza, that's probably one of my favorites.
It's one of my favorites as well. But I get it when you work so closely with that, and you have that smell on you for day in and day out.
Oh,
I get it.
At first, it's like, man, I smell like pizza. This is awesome. And then a month later, you're like, oh, I smell like pizza. Everything smells like pizza. It's gross.
Freaking pizza.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my first job that paid any sort of money was I was also a paper boy. Had to get up at dark 30 and grab the entire stack of newspapers from this one guy, and I'd have to go through my neighborhood. That was very, very, very short lived. It was like maybe a month or whatever, and that just sort of got dropped after that. But my first quote unquote real job was working for the clown and his golden arches. I worked for McDonald's. I was
the Big Mac chef.
Yes, basically. Yeah, I was the grill cook, and I also worked on the sandwich station and all those sorts of other little odd jobs. And I absolutely hated that job because, being in fast food, you have to be fast. And so you have to make sandwiches really quick. And I am a calculated person, if you get to know me. Not that I'm like super slow, but I'm a little more calculated than that. And so trying to work that fast was just really difficult for me. And then eventually they started cutting back my hours more and more and more, and eventually I just quit because I wasn't really getting enough hours anyway. And I just hated that job. And because of that, if I can help it at all, I will never work in fast food again.
Completely understandable. How about you, Ronnie?
I'm glad you guys saved me for last. So my first job was working at a horse stable, cleaning horse poop.
Stable boy. All right.
Nice. I for sure was. So I basically grew up with horses for most of my life. So it wasn't that much of a big change, other than you're cleaning out like 30 stalls every day instead of like 4.
You might say it was a pretty stable job.
It was a pretty crappy job as well.
Literally.
So it was more like it was like cleaning stalls, giving horses like medication, like turning horses out, like keeping like a schedule and things like that. I did not do that very long. About 6 months was about all I could handle that. And I will say what my second job is, only because it almost just tied into our podcast earlier, which was one of my favorite jobs of all time, is I worked at Hollywood Video.
Nice.
It was just like the coolest job. You're like, oh man, I get to rent all these movies and stuff like that. You're there till like 12 or 1 a.m. It was just a cool job. But yeah, that is not in existence anymore, I don't believe.
Nope.
No, I don't think many video stores are still in existence.
Nope. Netflix and Redbox destroyed most of them, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Didn't Blockbuster have like a Redbox type thing or something they were trying?
They did, but it fell by the wayside pretty quick.
Gotcha.
They do have one remaining Blockbuster location now in Oregon.
Is that the one that Captain Marvel? Is that the one that Captain Marvel crashed through?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't. Well, actually, I can't say yes or no. It could very well be. I have no idea.
No, he destroyed the last one.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, let's get a little bit more to the present. We shared about our jobs last week, but let's remind everybody, what do you do now? Maybe give a little more details, and definitely share why in the world you do what you do.
I'll go first. Right now, I am a manager of a team in an insurance company. I didn't, obviously, when I grew up, I wanted to play for the Cincinnati Reds. Never in my wildest dreams would I thought I'd be sitting at a desk for an insurance company, but here I am. When I went to college for operations management, and I minored in management because I knew I could lead people, I could talk to people, I could provide direction, I could make decisions. So I thought, maybe management would be would be something that I would get into. So went to college, and then right out of college, I became a financial advisor. I was good with money. I knew math. I was very good in watching the market and things like that. So I felt like that would be a great start out of college. So I did that for about a year, and I worked with an individual. He was also a financial advisor, and he left to go to another company. And he was there for about a month. I was still a financial advisor, and he was there for about a month and called me up and says, "Hey, this company's great. You should come work for this in the same department I'm in." I'm like, "Okay." So he set me up with an interview. I got the job. So he and I were on the same team. So fast forward another 3 years, he leaves the department and goes to another department within the same company. He's up there for about a month, and he asked me, "Hey, are you happy there?" I was like, "Yeah, it's fine." He's like, "You should come up to where I am." So he sets me up with an interview. I get the job, and then we're on the same team again. So we were on the same team in that department for about, 3 years, and he leaves for another department.
Jeez.
So he's like, "Hey," he was there for a few months. He's like, "Hey, why don't you come up to this department?"
God.
And
Butter's fine.
at that time, I was like, "You know what? I think I'm gonna stick this one out." And I was in that department for 4 years, and I was so many different positions. I probably had 5 different positions within that same department. And I kept getting promoted every year, promotion, where then I became the supervisor of that area. Then my boss's boss, my boss's boss's boss comes to my desk and says, "Hey, we need to talk to you." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what in the world did I do?" And so I go into the room and they're like, "Hey, there's a team that needs your help. And it is for something you don't know how to do, but we feel like that you can do that." And that was 2 years ago. I'm in that same position where I am now, manager of this department.
Uh-huh.
And I've been doing that for 2 years now, and I really, really enjoy it. And one of the things that I have noticed is through this past 2 years is I thrive when I am with other like-minded individuals. Like whenever I'm in a room with other managers and we're talking about how we can develop, what we can do to make our team better, how do we motivate, things like that, that stuff makes me excited. And that's where I am right now.
Nice.
I will go ahead and go next, partly because some of that ties into where I ended up. So the current role that I'm in is a compensation analyst. The person that trained me in that department and interviewed me for that position is Patrick. So we worked together for a little bit. That's kind of how we end up getting to know each other. My general job is we basically monitor the commission system at an insurance company. So we're basically making sure the commission system runs smoothly, pays out all the correct amounts and things like that. It's actually, it's not a bad job at all. I don't mind going to work every day. I think my dream job, probably would have been a football player or baseball or any sport, pretty much for that matter. But since that doesn't necessarily always work out, you always look for something that you don't hate it. You just go to work and you like it. And I think that's generally my philosophy, is to do the best I can while I'm there. You're getting paid to do a job, so I was trying to do the best I can there. But in the same thing, it is a desk job, and I, like Patrick, I didn't see myself sitting at a desk. I actually went to college. I got my bachelor's degree. It's a Bachelor of Science with a concentration in criminal justice. So I was actually planning on being a cop for a long time. But I just generally decided against that. Didn't think it was going to be something I wanted to do, and finished out the degree and everything like that. But definitely interesting path to get there. I worked changing oil. Like I worked at a car dealership before that, so I kind of bounced all around everywhere. But my current job now, it's a pretty good spot for sure.
Nice. How about you, Mark?
Well, I sort of bounce between two jobs. Obviously, I'm in music and youth ministry. I serve at a church about an hour outside of where I live. Been serving there for actually 2 years today. So woohoo to that.
Congratulations.
And thank you. I basically am in charge of planning worship services every week. All the songs that we do. I'm in charge of leading rehearsals with our worship team. We have rehearsals every Tuesday night, including tonight at the time of this recording, which was great. And then of course we have services every Sunday that I lead worship for, and I'm responsible for communicating with the team and making sure everybody's on the same page. And I have a good relationship with my pastor. He's a very smart man, very strong biblical guy. He's just got a good head on his shoulders, and he's just always able to give good life advice and of course spiritual advice. And so I very much enjoy being at this church. It's helped me to grow a lot. My wife has told me that it's helped her to grow a lot in her own walk with God. So it's definitely been a great ministry to be a part of. But like I said, I bounce between two jobs. I am bivocational because I'm in part-time music and youth ministry, and so sometimes you just got to take another job to make sure the bills get paid. And so I actually was working at the university here in the city. It's a Christian university. I'll let you fill in the blanks there. I'm sure y'all can figure it out. But I was working there as a custodian for several years. It was actually about 8 years as my normal sort of 9-to-5 job. But I actually deal with germophobic OCD, and I take medication for that. And so having all that and being a janitor is not a good idea. So I ended up quitting that job, which that is a story in itself.
I'm sure.
Yeah, basically, I heard I was getting moved to a new area that was going to be, for me, worse than where any other place I had been before. I had always told my wife, if I get moved here, I'm done. I can't. That's my limit. And sure enough, they moved me over there, and
that was the sign to move on.
I quit. Yeah. And so Indeed.com was my best friend for about a week, and I got a job at a car dealership here, basically as a service valet. What a service valet does is I work in the service department, so we perform service and maintenance on people's vehicles. I work specifically in the Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge sector, if you will, and basically I check in customers when they're bringing their vehicles in for their appointments, and they bring them into the service lane, and then I bring the cars around to our mechanics, our service techs, who get to work on the vehicles. And then I also we have a complimentary shuttle service, so a lot of times if people need a ride to work or a ride home, I shuttle them around in a van. And if I ever need to, if they ever ask me to deliver parts or pick up a part or whatever, we go for runs for that. So and I actually like this job way more.
Yeah, that's got to be so much, less stressful than your other job.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not cleaning bathrooms, and that's the biggest thing. I really had to worry about my overall health, and just being at the job was not a good thing. But yeah, that's pretty much me.
All right. Well, for me, like I'd kind of mentioned before, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a vet. As I got older, that kind of rolled into wanting to be a doctor. And then when I became a Christian and just kind of started to pray and talk to God and read the Bible and go to church more, I realized that instead of being a doctor of the body, I wanted to be a doctor of the soul. And so I eventually settled upon being in full-time ministry, being a pastor, and that's kind of what guided me to going to college at a Christian school. But when I was thinking about my exact ministry and my occupation in ministry, I made the mistake of telling God, I'll do anything except be a missionary, because I don't want to live in Africa and lots of bugs, and if I'm being honest with myself, you think these things sometimes, and when you say it out loud, it's like, wow, that's really superficial. But that's just the kind of stuff I was thinking about when I was kind of in high school, college time. But then not long after that, I felt God telling me and calling me to be a missionary. And so that's pretty much what led me to this. In college, I met my wife, and my wife was adopted by American missionaries. She is actually Costa Rican by birth, but she is American by adoption. And when you look at her and her parents and the rest of her family, she definitely looks Costa Rican, and the rest of her family definitely looks American. And so oftentimes, especially in the times when we're all hanging out together, when people meet us for the first time, they say, is this your dad? And I'm like, nope, that's my father-in-law. He's my wife's dad. And they're like, what? How does this work? But, when I got to college, I met this family that they spoke Spanish, and they had lived most of their lives on the mission field. And that's really when I started falling in love with other cultures and just the idea of not just being a missionary, like going to other places to share God's love, but really like working and collaborating with other cultures and other people. And so it was through that I really started to understand, my calling and my desire to be a missionary as an occupation, as a job, because it really connected with my desires, my passions, my abilities. What I was going to gain for money to me was secondary, and it was just a bonus. And so now I'm a missionary. More specifically, as I mentioned in the last episode, I'm a coordinator for a ministry, a missions ministry called Work and Witness, which is pretty much a ministry about coordinating and planning short-term mission trips from 1 day to 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And that can be, within the country of Brazil, that can be Americans or other countries coming to Brazil, and that can even be Brazilians going out to other countries. And so I'm kind of the national leader of that, and I'm in charge of making those kind of things happen. Right now the ministry is very young. To this point, the Work and Witness ministry in the past has been Americans coming to build churches all over Brazil, but I've really felt a deep desire to expand it and make it more national, to have Brazilians in the South to work with Brazilians in the North, and see Brazilians go to Africa and see them go to America to see how they can contribute to, my friends and family in the churches up north, to support them, so that it's kind of a two-way street. But speaking of God in the workplace, another one of Pat's family members, his wonderful mother, Shyla Novosel, had this question. Sheila. Rewind.
Yes.
Another one of Pat's family members, his wonderful mother, Sheila Novosel. Sorry, my mother-in-law is named Shyla, and she spells her name the exact same way. So,
no way,
right on. And so I just went with that same pronunciation. But anyways, you're wonderful.
Shout out to Shyla.
Shout out to Shyla and Sheila and Shayla, wherever you are. We don't know you yet, but maybe you'll introduce yourself.
Tomato.
But Pat's mom, thanks for writing in your question. And her question was, I'd like to know how you guys incorporate God into your job. Do you say it or display it? So in general, how do you share your faith? How do you make your job more than a job and make it a little more significant?
I don't necessarily talk about God. I don't evangelize, but I more live it out. I let others know my faith through the way I carry myself. I talk about me singing at church every Sunday morning. I don't preach, but what I do is there's a few phrases that I use every day, and it helps me be nice, respect people, care for people. The first one is the golden rule. I want to treat people the way I would like to be treated.
True that.
So I do. That's number one.
Amen.
Number two is little bit cliche, a little bit corny, but I always think, what would Jesus do? It really helps me live out my life the way I feel like I should be living my life. And then third, now this really resonated with me over the weekend is Matthew 5:41. It says, if you're asked to go 1 mile, go 2. So I try to use that where if someone asks me to do something, whether it be at work or in my personal life, I don't just do the bare minimum.
Right.
I don't say that, I'll do that and so much more. It's one of the reasons why I am in the position that I am, because I do that, and I do all those 3 things. I think about those 3 things every day, and it helps me, my relationships, both personal and professional. It helps me with my work. Whether they ask me to do a report, I'll run the report and I'll make it look nice. I'll do anything extra, and I'll do that. And I do that with the people I work with, the people that I work for, and the people that work for me. So that's what I do.
Yeah, man. I think the biggest thing for me is to live out the servant attitude. It's important to always be, if somebody needs help, something, be the first one to get up and just do it, no matter, how low, quote unquote, you might think it might be, or whatever. Or it's just important to just really have that servant's heart, and to be at a point where people can trust you, and you can be a person of integrity that people can rely on you. I think that's the biggest thing for me. Like I said, it's a big temptation and a big thing to deal with, in a very secular environment, to just sort of want to blend in and be with everybody else. And I admit I've failed in that respect in some ways, but I also get to, in a lot of ways, when I drive people around, I get to talk about what I do, and that sort of opens up conversation a little bit. And so you get to know all sorts of interesting people. Now, granted, living in an area that I live in, where it's quite saturated with, that Christian mindset. A lot of times you're running into fellow Christians, because I'm in the Bible Belt, basically, and but a lot of times, you run into people that it's just not their way of living at all, and again, you just try to have that loving attitude and that servant's heart.
Right.
Jesus hung out with people of all kinds, tax collectors, prostitutes, whatever, and he just loved on him. Obviously there were times where he called a spade, but he did so in love, and for the most part he demonstrated just complete grace, and again, servant attitude. When just remember him getting down and washing the disciples' feet. That was something that was like the lowest of the low, but he wanted to demonstrate the idea of modeling that servant attitude. And so I think that's one of the most important things that I try to do with any job that I'm a part of. I know it can be a little bit easier with a ministry job because you're in ministry, and it's all about serving God and serving people. But we're really called to do that wherever we go. So I think serving is the biggest thing for me.
Cool, man.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool. You can talk to people as well when you're driving them and stuff like that, and kind of get into that whole thing. I think my answer is really kind of piggybacks off of both of those, because it's, obviously it's not something that I talk about while I'm at work. I wouldn't preach to somebody at work, but I try to generally be somebody that can be trusted, somebody that can be relied on, and in general just a good person, because I think as kind of Mark alluded to, in going to the car dealership, I can relate to that because it is a very different environment, and it's easy to get caught up in all of that. So generally try not to do that, because I think in the workplace you're going to work with people that might kind of bring you into that whole thing. But I try to stay trustworthy and reliable, and to be an overall good person. What
Cool.
about you, Lucas?
Well, I think we can all agree that my job, being in full-time ministry, missionary, pastor, all those things, is conducive, and it's probably necessary for me to say it and display it. But when I think about all the other jobs I had before, from when I realized I had a call to being a pastor and to be a missionary up until now, I've had a mountain of jobs that were not even related to the church. I sold Cutco knives. I was a newspaper boy, a landscaper, gardener, cell phone salesman, financial manager, substitute teacher, waiter at Applebee's and Texas Roadhouse. And in all those times, kind of like what you guys have alluded to already, it was really all about, living out my faith, like doing what God called me to do, to live out the golden rule. But for me also, it's always been about making sure I invest in people. Whatever my job is, I can't make it about the money. I can't make it even about the tasks I have to do. I have to make sure that whatever connection I have with people, whatever way I can talk to people, invest in them, connect with them, I need to put all my effort into that. And so for me, it's about conversations. Like when I was a waiter, I made every effort that when there was downtime to talk to people, get to know them, ask them how they're doing, and not just like, hey, how you doing? Good. How you doing? Good. But it was like I would make sure to look people in the eye. And I would encourage you guys, it's not easy to share your faith, and oftentimes it can kind of make your job a lot harder if you're always trying to focus on, preaching or sharing a truth, and it can be hard sometimes. And also because you have to get work done and you have to get things done, but really just stopping sometimes, looking at the people you work with and work for, looking at them and saying, how you doing? Like really looking at them, and asking them how they are, why they're doing great, why they're doing bad, and really getting allowing God to open an opportunity for you to inspire them, to challenge them, for them to challenge and inspire you. And I think, that's what it all comes down to. I think in whatever job we have, God always gives us opportunities to connect with people, to be challenged, and we just have to be open and willing for it to happen,
Yeah.
So do you guys have a dream job? Like if your education, if money, if time, if none of that was a factor, I know Ronnie already mentioned that already, kind of, and maybe it still is being a football player, but do you guys have any dream jobs or a dream job that you're like, man, if I could do this, it would be perfect?
Yeah, like I said it earlier, like I want to be, a manager of managers. Like I said, that I like being a part of like-minded individuals, being in the company of them, and I feel like I would do a very good job in that. Aside from that, my dream job, if I had all the resources and everything, would be to do nothing. And what I
Nice.
And what I mean by nothing is I want to be able to do the things that I want to do. I want to be able to volunteer. I want to be able to help the needy. I want to be able to travel. I want to be more active with my church. I want to be able to play more games. I want to be able to wake up at 1 in the afternoon I want to do those things and not push away my responsibilities as a parent, as a husband, but just to be able to get away from work for a long period of time, and I guess that's retirement. So
maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be able to have the time to do all those things.
Yeah, man. I obviously I said right now I'm in part-time ministry, and then also working another job. When I first got called to music ministry, I just said, Lord, wherever you want me to go, I will go. If that means being part-time for the rest of my life, then so be it. It's just wherever you call me to go. Now, would I like to be in full-time ministry? Yeah, definitely. I definitely think I could take that step and just go into it full-time. But the Lord hasn't opened that door yet. So I just got to trust him where I'm at, bloom where I'm planted. And, if that's what he calls me to, then I'm more than happy to step into that.
So I think my dream job, other than obviously playing a professional sport, because the one thing you didn't allude to is like talent, money, and resources.
Oh, sorry.
You cleared that all up with talent. You didn't
minor things.
like that.
My bad.
So that's still going to be pretty rough, probably. I think I always enjoyed writing. Like I learned in college that I just like to write. I just like to write about stuff, and the things that I'm the most interested in is sports. So I always thought it would be something really cool to be like a baseball writer, even like a beat writer, like travel with the team, write about the team nightly and things. And, I always thought that would be really cool. I explored it a little bit and found that when you start that, I think you end up with a single A team and you're not getting paid anything and you're in the middle of nowhere. But I think that would be really cool to do for like a professional baseball team.
Nice. That's a cool answer, Ronnie.
Ooh, I have one more thing to add, if you don't mind.
No, we mind. You're not allowed. Sorry.
Okay, well I'll stop talking then.
Just kidding. Go ahead, Mark.
I would really like to write and record songs for the local church. That's really where my heart is.
Oh, that's cool.
Musically, is just writing corporate worship songs. So that's it.
Nice. Well, I'd say for me, I'm pretty much doing it. I mean, there were times in my life where my dream job was being an actor, comedian. There were times when I thought I wanted to be like one of the top leaders of the Church of the Nazarene, the denomination I work for, that I work with. But once I, at the beginning of this year, when I got into this position, and now even with doing this podcast with you guys and connecting more with people through streaming, I feel like everything I'm doing right now is connecting me with people, and it's giving me opportunities to encourage, influence, and even to be encouraged and to be influenced in a positive way. So I feel like I'm living the dream. Like I don't have any other dream jobs anymore. It's really just all about serving Him, serving others, and so it's a privilege to do what I do, and it's in connecting it to this podcast, it's a privilege to do this with you guys. I know it's only the second episode, and I don't want to be like, oh, it's the greatest thing ever, but it's just like it's just another piece of the puzzle, and so it's really cool to be a part of this with you guys.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah,
definitely agree.
Awesome.
So bonus question to go on the other side, the opposite end of dream jobs. Our new friend and listener, Aaron Giddy. I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm sorry, Aaron, if I mispronounced your name. But Aaron Giddy wanted to know, what's a job you would never want to have? So, do you guys have any jobs that you would never want to have? Not because they're like, they're bad. So if anybody has these jobs we mentioned, you're appreciated and you're doing a good thing for the world. But if it's maybe something personal for you that you could never do it.
And any of the jobs that were on that show, what was it, Dirty Jobs?
Oh,
with Mike
man.
Rowe?
Dirty Jobs.
Agreed.
Any of those jobs.
Agreed.
No, but for me, like I like to laugh. I like to smile. I like to have conversations, but I couldn't do something that would require me to not do those things. Like if I was like a funeral director or something like that, that would be awful. Having to do that, having to see sad faces all the time and try to keep. I mean, that would mentally drain me if I had to do something like that.
Yeah.
I would never want to be the guy that empties out septic tanks.
I'm pretty sure that's on the Dirty Job show a couple times.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
That was probably on there.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, mine would be really easy. Mine would be I would never want to work at the horse stables again.
Nice. Never want to go back.
Yeah, I definitely that was my least favorite job I think I've ever had. So I would not want to go back.
For me, I could never return back to doing any job that requires me to do like cold calls or like forcing people to listen to my sales pitch. If I don't believe in it, like if I'm not passionate and believe in what I'm doing, or if I have to like say something I've memorized, that's the worst. Because I think in this day and age, people have heard so many sales pitches that they're used to it, and it's just like someone's like, "Hello, have you ever had this happen to you?" And it's like, come on, man. People are automatically shutting off.
People can see right through that stuff. If you're not passionate about it, people can see right through.
I can't. I just can't do that. That, and I would never be. You know those people that take the olive seeds out and put the pimentos inside the olives. I could never do that job.
What is that job?
You know, like an olive stuffer.
Job?
The olive stuffer. I don't know. That's a job, right?
I don't know. I mean,
well, if that were a job,
we have a fact checker.
That's like
I'm afraid to Google that because I don't know what I would find.
Yeah, it's probably not a good idea. But that's like one of the only foods. One of the only foods I don't like. So obviously, I don't want to work in the olive industry. So that's about it. So as we start to wrap things up, guys, you guys need to answer one more question before we wrap things up. This one was posted by my Brazilian buddy Gabriel Pavão, who lives about 2 hours away from me. He used to live right down the street until I moved to Sao Paulo. But he wanted to know, what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
Which one, African or European?
I don't know that.
That is correct. That is correct.
Was that Monty Python?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Quest
Monty
for the
Python
Holy
and
Grail.
Grail.
Thank you, Gabriel, for that question. We are not going to answer that question because we want to live. So we're going to abstain.
Good question.
So let's see. The only other thing I had. Well, we've reached our wrapping up time. Do you guys have some inspirational thoughts? Maybe Mr. Marc Boucher has some music, or if you guys have any things you want to add in regards to jobs, occupations, whatever. The floor is open.
Sure, man. I'll go ahead and recommend a few songs for the old Good Morning playlist, something to get your day started with. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do this every week and actually compile a Spotify playlist. So you guys will be able to look that up and access it and play it whenever you like. So I've got 3 songs at the ready today that I think you should add to your playlist or check out on ours. First and foremost, if you're into good just alt rock, pop rock music to get your day started, I was a big fan and still pretty much am a big fan of this band called Lifehouse.
Oh yeah,
and I was the biggest fan possible. I've been to at least 4 or 5 of their concerts. Met them twice. Their first couple of albums were like the soundtrack to my angsty years of my teenagerdom. Actually, this week, 16 years ago, they released their second album. It's called Stanley Kleinfall. I highly recommend you check it out. But in particular, it's a song on there called Spin. It's just got a very, very rock vibe. It'll get your day going. On the opposite end, there's actually a guy by the name of John Foreman. I'm sure many of you have heard of him. He is the lead singer of a band called Switchfoot. He also does a lot of solo work. He is a beast when it comes to writing songs. He's just constantly writing music. I would say a song from his solo stuff that I would recommend is a song called "Resurrect Me," and it's basically, the song's about making the best of life and being resurrected from the things of the world, and the fact that he's tried so many worldly things that didn't work out, and he's just crying out, resurrect me, bring me back to life, because all these things are just leading me to just death. And so that's really what the song's about. And the third song for you is actually a song from the band Mute Math. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that band. It's a song called, and I'm blanking on the name now. Typical. That's the name of the song. It's a very, very alt-rock song. Just something to get your morning going. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend those songs to get you going.
Cool, man.
Good deal.
Cool.
I will go ahead next. I don't know necessarily that I have an inspirational thought, but since we did our the first podcast last week, I think we've had we just had an overwhelming kind of pour out of people. You know what I mean? People just liking the page, people that we know commenting, and I really just want to say thank you, because it's been pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Shout out to everybody. That is awesome for sure.
Nice.
Wherever any of us are, for you that it's listening right now, wherever you are in your job, your career, job search, education, it does all come down to listening to yourself, living out your passions, living with conviction, believing in what you do. For me, it actually, in thinking about that, it actually reminds me of Ratatouille. Have you guys seen that good old Pixar movie?
I have not.
Seriously?
I have not either.
Seriously? Mark, you've seen Ratatouille, right?
I have many, many times.
Nice. Do you have a quick elevator pitch for us? Or do you just want me to give mine?
It's about a gerbil.
Yeah, that's it. We're done.
Movie about a gerbil. Oh wow. That's quite the elevator pitch. Well,
nope, that's not it. That's not it at all.
All right. Fair enough.
No, basically, I would say rodents have figured out how to control humans in order to assert culinary dominance.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
That I actually like that. That's a good elevator pitch.
Or I have a second one for you. The Parisian Health Department's worst nightmare.
Yes. So, Ronnie and Pat are so confused right now.
I think I need to watch both WALL-E and Ratatouille.
You for sure do.
Next week.
Now listen, you have no excuse, Ronnie. I can't remember. Do you have kids, Ronnie?
I do not.
Okay, so Patrick, you have no excuses. You need to watch WALL-E. You need to watch Ratatouille. But bringing it back to
Disney movies.
They're both Pixar movies. Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
okay. Right.
To bring it back, the reason I brought up the movie, first of all, here's the elevator pitch, okay? You ready?
Go.
I really thought this through, so I need you to listen. Remember, listen. For some, cooking is just a job. But for Remy, cooking is a passion. His job is avoiding cats, traps, and humans as he seeks to make his dream of being a chef come true.
Okay, yours was good too.
Huh?
So he wants to be a chef? Or
yes.
Ultimately he?
But he is a...
gerbil.
Close enough. He's a rat. So the movie is pretty much about a rat that wants to be a chef, and he does control a young man by pulling on his hair to make him cook eggs and meat and bake stuff. And it's actually a really cute, really funny movie. Your kids would love it, so you need to watch it with your kids.
Does the man know that there's a rat on his hat?
He does.
He actually invites the rat to go on his hat. go in his head and control him. You have to watch it, though, to see it.
The chef's hat, so no one knows.
But to bring it back even more, the reason I brought that up, there's a line in the movie that actually comes from the food critic and the villain of the movie. And he says, not everyone can become a great artist, but a great artist can come from anyone. And I really like that quote because it applies to our lives in so many ways, in the jobs we do and the things we do, because when it comes down to it, we can make a difference and we can find passion through whatever job we're doing if we truly listen, put our all into it, and seek it out. So I want to just encourage everybody, seek out passion in what you do. Consider seeking or praying for a different job if it's not there, because money is only going to sustain you for so long. It's only going to take us so far. So seek out passion, and then also go and watch Ratatouille. It's a good flick. Well, I think that's all for today. We've all enjoyed hanging out, of course, talking together. If you'd like to communicate back with us, listeners, there are a number of ways you can go beyond listening. You can subscribe and keep downloading our weekly podcast every Thursday morning on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Also, you can rate us on iTunes because nothing says, "Good job, little buddy," like a nice review and some stars. And you are welcome to connect with us as a podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, The Good Morning Guys, or at the GMG Podcast, and also personally at
Nova Beyond on Twitter.
Ronnie.Music829 on Twitter.
Oh, look out.
Whoops. Collision.
Collision.
Sorry. Ronnie, you say yours first, and then I'll say mine again.
Yeah, so my Twitter is just my name. It is Ronnie, RONNIE.Johannes, JOHANTGES.
And mine is at Musique, MUSIQUE 829.
And I am at MTTG Brazil Team, and you can also find me on Facebook, Lucas Ham Swisher. All right, my podcasting brothers, listeners, friends, and family, go get your good morning this week. May God bless you and guide your lives as you live, work, and game. Ate mais, and see you next week for more Good Morning Guys.
1, 2, 3, 4.